Good morning. Hi, Liz. Good morning. So, I'm on here 2 minutes early, so I'll just wait until we get some more people, Liz. Let's see. In a few more minutes. How are you doing, Liz? Let's see. Let me find. All right, we have 1 more minute. Good. That's good, Liz. I'm glad. You're doing such a great job. Let's see. Oh, here we go. All right, so it's 11 o'clock, so it's just us for right now. So maybe I'll wait 1 more minute to get started since we're the only ones. Good morning. Let's see. Oh yeah. So I know who you all are, but if you guys don't mind, send me a DM with your first and last name so I can give you credit for today, so I can put it in. Melanie, at the live, I will put your grade in, so you can make sure you check it when I finish. So once I finish this today, 11:45, I will put your grade in, okay? And then I'll let you know when you can join if you want to now. All right, so let me find the slides so we can get started because it is 11:01. Good morning, Aaliyah. Hey, Aaliyah, please put your first and last name, DM it to me so I can save it, okay? Sorry, my phone keeps going off, guys. All right, so I'm going to flip the screen over so we can get started with today's do now. I posted it like 30 minutes ago, so I'm not sure if you guys were able to check it out or not, but I'm going to flip the screen over now and show you all the do now, okay? Oh, yeah, and then the question box, if anybody has any questions, there may be a better way to ask me the questions in a little question box, okay? All right. All right, so good morning. All right, so today's due now. I will give you guys 5 minutes to answer it. I'm not really sure if you can answer the questions using that little box, but with the question mark. But if you try it and see if that works, okay? Or you can just answer it through the regular comment section on here. All right. All right. So today's due now. The do now is, why do artists critique their work? So I will give everyone 5 minutes. And again, for those who just joined, good morning. I'm so glad you guys are here. And please DM me your first and last name so I can keep track and attract who all is here. Okay? All right. So today's do now. Why do artists critique their work? You can comment in the question section or just comment in the regular section. Anybody? Why is it important for artists to critique their artwork? Like, why do they do it? Anybody? Don't be scared. And I keep up with who all is participating. So make sure you all are participating so that I can give you points for doing so, all right? So why do artists critique their work? Because they want to improve their work. Yes. Artists critique their work because they want to tell the viewers what their art is about. That is absolutely correct. Yes. So if I can get maybe 2 more people. Good morning. Good morning to those who just joined. So it looks nice. Yes, Aaliyah. All right, maybe one more. And then we'll kind of go over it, okay? One more person. I had 3 great answers on why artists critique their artwork. One more person. One more. All right. Good morning. Good morning to those who just joined us. The do now for today is why do artists critique their work? I just got 3 great responses. Artists critique their work because they want to tell the viewers about their work. They also can critique their work so that they can improve their work for their next artwork or art project. They also can critique their work so that they can know what to improve on. All right. Good morning, Stuart. All right. So those are reasons why artists critique their work. For those who just joined in, please DM me your first and last name because I don't know everybody's IG name. But if you could please DM it to me so that I can keep track of who is here. And I can give you credit for joining in on our live session today. All right. All right. So moving right along, for those who responded, thank you so much. And those were great responses. All right. So moving right along, this is week 5 already. All right. So for the past 5 weeks, we have gone over conflict, and we have gone over how to create and why we are creating conflict art books. All right. So for those who just tuned in, if you have not been with us for the last couple of weeks, this is a great way to catch up. So I'm going to kind of go over what we have gone over for the last 4 weeks and then catch you up for what we are doing for the 5th week. Okay. So week 5, bound conflict critique. This information should be in your packets that you guys have picked up, and you can also find this in Canvas. All right. And, let's get started. So conflict art book critique. Today we are critiquing. Today is Tuesday, April 22nd, 2020. And our class is from 11 to 11:45 a.m. And again, I am Miss Henderson. All right. All right. So welcome to Distance Learning Week 5. And if anybody has any questions, I'm going to flip this over. If anybody has any questions, please comment in the comment section, and also the square with the question mark if you want to ask a question that way. All right. So anytime you need to ask, please feel free to do so. All right. So if you just tuned in, I took about 5 minutes to go over the do now. The do now question was, why do artists critique their work? And artists critique their work for a number of reasons, to improve their work next time so they can see their mistakes, what they did well in, what they didn't do well in. So those are some great aspects of why artists critique their work. Any questions? Oh, I don't know, Liz. I actually just noticed the question box, but just if you want to chime in, just comment the regular way. All right. I know Aaliyah used it. I think it's more of a discreet way to ask a question, but yeah. All right. So what will we cover today? So in your packets, if you are following along, we have been working on the bound conflict. And today we are critiquing today, just like we do all of our art projects after we are finished. And just to, I know we've kind of been out of school for a couple weeks, but you all know how I have each section in the classroom has the 4 categories on critique, and you all have to walk around and answer the questions. Well, basically, this is the same thing. All right, it's similar to our gallery walks that we do after our projects. All right, so what we will cover today, we will discuss the importance of a critique. We will review how to critique, and then we'll go over some student critiques. All right, and what you are critiquing should be, it is your art book. So this is an example of what you should have turned in by now. So for those who did turn these in, I do have them, and I gave you or will be giving you credit. And for those who are joining us for the first time, this is our art book. And our art books consist of different forms of conflict. So you all were supposed to write a short story for each form of conflict, as well as a drawing or some type of creative lettering font style for that particular conflict. And you were supposed to fold it up and create a little mini book. All right, so this is basically what we are critiquing today. This is just an example. All right, critique steps. Anytime, if you didn't get it, Stuart, you can DM me after the session and I'll catch you up. Critique steps. There are 4 different steps to critique. All right, and those 4 steps are describe, analyze, interpret, and judge. All right, those are the 4 steps of critique. So these are the 4 steps that we'll be going over, and these are the 4 things that you all will be using in your critique. Okay, any questions? Anybody? With multiple pages, if you can elaborate a little bit more what you mean. All right. All right, so the critique process is basically the same 4 categories that I just mentioned. And this is the particular order. So anytime that any artist or even you all, as you know, these are the 4 sections that you use to critique. All right, so the first thing you have to do is describe the work. The second step is to analyze the work. And the third step is to interpret the work. And then the last step is to judge the work. So it always has to go in this order. All right. Yes, your book needs more than 1 page. Yes. All right. What is critique? Before I move on, I want several volunteers to answer in the box. What is it? What does it mean to critique? I'll give you all a few minutes to chime in. For those who are participating in today's live, you will be receiving live school points. So what is a critique? For our Do Now, we talked about why artists critique. But now I'm asking the question, what is a critique? A critique is to judge something. Yes. Great job, Liz. And it helps them to improve. Absolutely. Anybody else besides Liz? Anybody else? Any other volunteers? Stuart? And you guys really should know. You should know this because we do this after every art project. So, anybody else? What is a critique? One more person. All right. So a critique is an oral or written discussion strategy used to analyze, describe, and interpret works of art. Critiques help students to give their ways of thinking, persuasive, analyze oral and written information, gatherings, and justification skills. Yes, Aaliyah, to get better. Yes. This is why it's important to critique. And actually, artists are not the only ones to critique. Anybody can critique. If you were to write a book or a story, after you finish writing it, you could critique it. You can break it up into these 4 categories. Not just art, but anything. Something that describes your work. Yes, it's breaking your work up. It's describing it. Good job. Any questions about that? Nobody? All right. So this is an example of a critique chart. So you can do it several ways. Detailed analysis and assessment of something to get better. Absolutely. Good job. All right. So this is like a workout or a worksheet or handout that could be given for a critique. So anytime you critique, you will give the title. You'll talk about it, what draws the attention, something that the artist did well. The artwork shows what does it show? If you are confused about the work, what do you think about the work? What would improve about the work? And what did you like about what you saw? So there are 2 different forms of critique. You can critique yourself, which is known as a self-critique, or you can critique someone else's work. All right. So if you were to go to a museum or look at a classmate's piece of art, this is how you would break it down. So it can go both ways. You can critique yourself or someone else's work. All right. All right, so I'm going to start with the first section. Well, the first thing we're going to do is to break it down. Description. Description is the written description. It is the written description on the label about the work. What is the title and who is the artist? All right. So when you are critiquing, you have to make sure that you describe what the title is of the artwork and who is the artist, whether you're critiquing yourself or someone else's work. When and where was the work created? Describe the elements of art that were used. And we all know the elements of art: line, shape, color, space. Those are the elements of art. To describe something. Yes, Liz. You explain what materials that you use to create your work. You describe the subject matter, and the subject matter can be what the actual work was about. So if it was a portrait, then the subject matter would be that person. If it was something that was non-objective, if it was like an abstract art, which is not a particular subject, then you wouldn't have a particular subject. But if you drew a person or something or somethings, that would have a particular subject. That would be the subject matter. And what is the work all about? So these are the things that you have to keep in mind when you're critiquing and you're in the description category, which is the first category that you use to critique. Anybody have any questions about description? Anyone want to add to anything that is on here? And Liz just answered, if you look at description, a great way to know what description is even asking for, because we see the word describe. So you're describing something, describing the work. Anybody else want to add to this or have any questions? Okay. So the next step in a critique, your art critique, is analysis. And analysis is to describe how the work is organized as a complete composition. How was the work constructed or planned? Did you show movement with lines? Identify some of the similarities throughout the work. Repetition of lines. And we know repetition means something that you see over and over and over again. It doesn't necessarily have to be lines. But if it is lines, it'll be maybe like a pattern. That's repetition. If you drew something in your book that you see over and over again, or you see multiple times, you will have repetition in your work. Identify some of the points of emphasis in the work. So the focal point, what is the first thing that the viewer sees? And then if the work has subjects or characters, what are the relationships between the characters? So if in your book, if you had, which you should have had several people or drawings in your book, because we talked about conflict with other people, in conflict with a group of people, in a conflict with someone else, those are characters. All right, so those will be the subjects. Anyone have any questions about analysis? To give information of your work. Yes, you're breaking it down. Anybody? Anybody else? Please feel free to add or comment or even ask a question. All right. All right. So our third category when we are critiquing is interpretation. And interpretation means to describe how the work makes you feel. All right? How does it make you feel? So whether you are critiquing another piece of work or your own, you have a particular feeling of how you feel about that art piece. So you're going to describe the expressive qualities that you find in the work. What expressive language would you use to describe the qualities? So basically, how would you describe the work? Does it look funny? Is it a funny piece of work? Is it more serious? Is it tragic? Like, what is it about? You're describing. You're using descriptive words to describe what the work is about. Does the work remind you of other things that you have experienced? So maybe in your drawings, maybe you base your drawings on actual experiences that you have had dealing with conflict. So if it's a conflict between you and someone else, you and a group of people, you and your parent or a sibling, then you're using that to help you. You're using that to imply the art to express yourself and through your experiences that you've actually dealt with. All right. How does the work relate to other ideas or events in the world and or your own studies? All right. So in this case, you will basically would have talked about how does conflict, not only does it, how do you relate to it, but how does the world relate to conflict? How do other people relate to conflict? All right. So that should have been expressed in your drawings. So that is interpretation. Anyone have any questions about interpretation? Any comments? If you want to add anything? Nobody? Anybody? You guys don't be scared. All right. All right, so the last one is judgment and evaluation. All right, so judgment is to present your opinion of the work's success or failure. So we know in art, like everyone has their own opinion or judgment about a piece of work. Your feelings about it may be different from a classmate's. Your feelings about it may be different from Miss Henderson's. All right, but everybody has their own opinion about the work, whether it was a success or if it was a failure. All right. So what qualities of the work make you feel as though it was a success or failure? So maybe looking at it, you can evaluate it and see what it is that you probably could have improved on, or you can highlight and say the things that you really thought was successful. Maybe you didn't think you were able to create or do such an awesome job, or maybe you needed help next time with something and you know that's the area that you need to improve on. All right. Compare it with similar works that you think are good or bad. What criteria can you list to help others judge the work? How original is the work? Is your work original? Did you draw it yourself, or did you look at something and just get inspired? I mean, that you could do that. And then the last one, it says, why do you feel this work is original or not original? All right. So if it was someone else's work, then you would kind of explain why was that person's work original. If you've seen it before and that they used it they got inspired from another artist, then that would also fall under the category of judgment and evaluation. Anybody have any questions about the fourth category for critiquing your work? All right. So I'm going to go back up real quick. And so those are the 4 steps that we just went over for critiquing. All right. Describe, analyze, interpret, and judge. We just broke it up and read the descriptions of each one. Now, again, this is the book that you all are critiquing today. It should be this book. I should have this book by now. I just got a couple of them today. So please send me this book, send a picture of it, and send it to me in a DM, or you can upload it in Canvas. But this is what you all are critiquing, is this book. All right. And here is another example of the book. I thought it would be better to look at it that way. I'll flip it back over. Good morning. All right, so I am going to have Melanie, if Melanie can join us. Please, Melanie, join our live so that you can critique your work. Liz, if you want to join, I need a student volunteer to join. And while I'm waiting, does anyone have any questions? About any other categories? All right, for those who just came in, yes, Liz, I know you turn in your book. So today we're not talking, well, we are talking about the book. So the book should be done by now. So we're done making the book. What we're doing today is the critique. So after we finish all of our art projects, we always critique. So you all are taking today to use, you're critiquing your work today. That's what you're doing. The book should be finished. I should have those already, and they already are graded. We are critiquing today. So Melanie, where are you? But you all have to, because today is designated for your critiques. So I should be hearing your critiques. This is the feedback day that you're giving yourself for your art book. All right, so Liz is going to join us. Thank you, Liz. Let me go. Let's go with the first step, which is description. So for those who, if you haven't already seen, Liz did a very good job with her book. I actually uploaded a video of her book on my page so that you guys can kind of see it and get inspired by her book. But she did a really good job. She's not the only one. I've received quite a few of them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have her kind of go over. Liz, do you have the book with you right now?
I said, like, they told us to drop off our stuff, like the stuff that were done.
Oh, you dropped it off.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what.
I'm sorry, baby. Okay, you all. So she doesn't have the book, but if you would like to see an example of her book, just go on my page, and I posted it a few days ago. She's just showing a video of her opening up the book. All right. So for those who just tuned in, one more time before we get started, we are critiquing today the art conflict books. This is what you're critiquing. All right, so we've already gone over all the forms of conflict. So you all were supposed to write a short story for each form of conflict. And then you all were supposed to create some type of illustration or artistic lettering to reflect each form of conflict. All right. And those forms of conflict were self conflict, conflict with someone else, and conflict with groups of people. Those are the three forms of conflict that we went over. So today, what I'm going to have her do is she's going to do the critique process, and she's going to explain in these four different categories to critique how she created her book. Okay. All right. So Liz, descriptions. I'm gonna keep the screen here, so I'll let you choose any of these that you want to kind of elaborate on for description. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Can I do the sentence describe the material used in the work?
You can you can use any of these you can use any of the questions that I have on here for description just to make it easier while you're critiquing, or if you want to use your own, you know, I put it here so it can make it easier so you can kind of like see the question and answer it. So you can choose any of these.
To describe my work is to it's about how emotion and how people bully people and how it affect their lives.
Good job. And what materials did you use to create your art book?
I used pencil, markers, crayons, and I use computer paper.
Good job. All right. So let's see. What is your book about?
My book, my book is about conflict between personal conflict, group of people conflict, and two and and two people.
Good job. All right. Do you want to answer any of these before we scroll over to the next section?
Whichever, choose one for me.
Okay. So if you were to give your book a title, what would you title it? Like, how would you describe it in the title?
I would say conflict, like like my title's gonna be conflict because all the ones that I drew between siblings, a sibling conflict, a job conflict, and a group of people conflict. That's what is gonna be the topic of the title conflict because that's what the whole book is about.
Good job. Good job. Okay. Now we're going to go to analysis. So you can pick any of these that you want to elaborate on for analysis for your book. I'll help you out. Let's start with this one down here. If the work has subjects or characters, because yours does, what are the relationships among the people? And I remember last time you explained what the people were doing on each page. So if you can kind of elaborate on that.
Okay, I had two siblings, two sisters, twins. They were fighting about boys, and that was the no, that was a conflict with with another person.
Mm-hmm.
And the second conflict was about, I think, personal one about two males were fighting, had an argument about their job work.
Good job. And so the drawings that you created, that was the subject, and those were the characters. All right. So good job. Let's pick another one on here. Repetition. So we talked about this one right here. We talked about repetition, and we know repetition is something that you see over and over again, or you at least see it more than once. So did you have anything in your art book that reflected repetition for under analysis?
Something that repeated over and over. I think the colors. Some of the colors.
Good job. Good job. And that would be one of the elements of what?
Of of the. I think the rep. No, is it the rep? Is it
Not repetition, but color. Color is the element of what?
of the element of art?
Yes, good job. There's seven of them, and color is definitely one of them. All right. Do you have any lines or anybody showing any movement in your work?
And when I was drawing the two males, one was pointing the fingers up, and the other one was pointing the fingers down. And the two twin siblings, they were having a movement. They were fighting between those a teddy bear. They were holding the teddy bear, and the one that drew about the parents, they were like screaming.
Good job. All right. All right. So she just broke. We're critiquing our work for those who just joined in. So our first form of critique was description. So Liz just described her work, and then she just finished an analysis. So she just analyzed it. So the third one is interpretation. So let's see. Describe how your work makes you feel, Liz.
The work makes me feel happy because I did some examples that happened in real life when I drew it.
Okay, good job. Let's see. Now going to expressive language, and that goes this one right here. That's about how you feel. So you're describing the qualities that you feel about the artwork. So for yours, is there anything that's funny? Is there anything that's serious about it? Is there anything that's tragic in your drawings?
They have my drawing. It has some. The drawings are funny. It's serious. It has anger in them, and yeah, and arguments in them.
Great job. All right. So did your work once you created, because conflict in everybody has experienced conflict, whether it's with groups of people, self conflict, or conflict with someone else. So every single person can relate to this particular lesson. So with yours, does the work remind you of things that you have experienced, like your drawings and your short stories for the three forms of conflict?
The one that drew about the siblings problems that happens to me in real life. Like sometimes me and my sister fights over stuff.
Great job. And since we are breaking this up for interpretation, what are some things that you can learn from your experiences with your siblings that kind of can improve conflict?
Like we can share stuff and like take turns with them and don't make a big deal of it.
Great job. Great job. All right. So the last category for our critique is judgment and evaluation. So let's see. Liz, was your work original?
Like what does it like? Does it mean like did I copy it or does it mean like I made my own idea?
Yes, it means that if it's yours, those are your own ideas.
Yeah.
Great job, great job. All right, so why do you, well, you kind of just answered it, but I'll ask this one. Why do you feel that the work was original and not copied?
Because I did my own stuff in it because when sometimes because there's different people every person knows how to draw different. For example, some knows how to draw people and everything. I know how to draw like cartoons and stuff like that. Yeah,
Great job.
because yeah.
Great job. Okay. So my next question for you is for your judgment and evaluation for your artwork. Do you feel like your work was a success or do you feel like it was failure? Like did you feel like you were successful with the work?
I feel like I was successful with the work
Why?
because I did all the stuff that I wanted like and didn't change nothing.
So you were happy with it. You were satisfied with it.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Good job, Liz. Thank you so much for participating. All right. So again, just to recap, this is the book that you guys should have turned into me. Just take a picture of it or you can drop it off like Liz did and I will get it. So this is the art conflict book. This is week 5. So this is kind of like the wrap up of this lesson. This is an example of what your book should have or could have looked like. It doesn't have to look just like that, but that's just an example. And for those who didn't join in our live at the beginning, I'll go over it real quick because we still have a few minutes left. So I'm going to go up so you all can know what we did. We're talking about our conflict books. Today was designated for our critique. So each time we finish an art project, we always critique. And if we were still in school, and even when we are in school, we do a critique where the students have to kind of go around. Like I have all 3 of the steps in the classroom. So when they finish their work, they're to go to each step. And I already have the questions asked. So they have to answer the question for each category. All right. So we can't do it like that because we have to improvise. But this is what we're doing today. We're going over the 4 steps of critiquing. And every time you critique, you have to, these are the 4 categories. It's describe, analyze, interpret, and judge. All right. And we went over the step process. It has to be done in this order. Step 1, you have to describe your work first. Step 2, analyze your work. Step 3, interpret your work. And step 4, judge your work. Then we talked about what is a critique. And a critique is an oral or written discussion strategy to use to analyze, describe, and interpret works of art. Critiques help students to give their persuasive and analyze oral and descriptive information gatherings and justifications for their skills. And this is kind of like a little handout of an art critique. And then we just broke up each form of the process that you would need to do in order to either do a self-critique or to critique your own work. Either way, it has to be following all of these categories, which is describe the work, analyze the work, interpret the work, and judge and evaluate the work. And critiques are done so that students or artists can improve next time. It may not be the same particular artwork, but it's still a way to break down the work to see what they can improve on, what elements of art did they use, how were they successful, what can they work on for the next project. All right. And again, this is the book, and those are some examples of what the mini book should look like. Anybody have any questions about any of this information? If you do, please comment below. If you don't want to ask your question in front of other people, then you can use the box with the question mark, and only I will be able to see the question. Anybody else have any questions? If you would like to add, please feel free to do so. So this wraps up week 5. So week 6, we will be moving on to something else. So if I do not have this, I need it because that is the only way I can give you credit for doing the work. I have to actually have it, see it. I got a couple of them today. A couple of students did DM me a picture of their book. If you all have not already done so, please send me a DM with your first and last name so that I can keep track of who all is here and participating in today's live. And this wraps up our conflict books, guys. That was week 5. So I will post on the page what to expect for next week so you all can kind of already get a jump start. You all should have picked up the packages that have that information in it, but if you do not, you can also find it in Canvas. Any questions, comments, concerns? If you do, after the live, you can DM me. Nobody? All right, so what I would do is I'm going to post this when we get done. We have about 1 minute left. I'm going to post this so you all can review it. So if you know a classmate who did not get a chance to be in our live today or watch it, it will be on the page so that you can get caught up. All right. And Liz, I want to thank you for participating. You did an awesome job. And for those who turned in your work, you did a really great job. And I want to say before we leave, you all were really creative with this art project. Even if you didn't have as many materials to use, that was absolutely awesome. You guys did your best and you were extremely creative. So I'm very proud. All right. All right, you all, that wraps up today's live for week 5. If you have any other questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to DM me. And I hope you guys stay safe. And I will see you all next week. All right. See you.